Hello and welcome to San Diego Real Estate Talk with Rosita. My name is Rosita. I am a realtor. I'm your host and a self-discovery coach. I get to help people find their way home. Whether home is a physical home or home is finding out the core of who you are. My guests are expert involved in the time frame where you are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Also, if you just want to maintain your home. Today's guest is specifically for protecting your home. So today we have Evette Kate. Let me tell you a little bit about Evette. She is a devoted Christian wife. She's got 3 beautiful daughters. She's the mentor and founder of Kuyate Law Group, and she's an attorney. She's an estate planning attorney, but she also is an attorney for domestic violence, human trafficking victims, immigration law issues, and estate planning, which we are going to focus on today. I thought this was super interesting, so I want to put this tidbit in here about her. She's often referred to as Wonder Woman, both in and out of the courtroom because of her passion and standing strong as a voice for the voiceless and advocating for the rights of others. Welcome, Evette. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted and such an honor. Thank you, Rosita.
I am so excited to talk about this because a lot of people don't understand the importance of the living trust. Has a lot more flexibility. You have a lot more control of it, the homeowner. So let's just get into it. Can you give a high level of what a living trust is?
Yeah, let's do it. So let me back up before we get there, because a lot of people don't even know why they need it. If any state, if somebody dies without a will, that's called you're dying intestate. And so the state says, no worries, we got you. We will decide who gets your things for you through our probate code. And so the judge will then decide who gets your assets according to the code set by the legislature. So I go by good, better, best, right? Better than the government deciding is you deciding. And so that's when a will comes in. And people who have a will, instead of the legislature deciding, it's supposed to be your wishes being honored, again, by a probate court. So better than good, right, is the will. The trust is what I call best, right? And a lot of people talk about living trust, revocable living trusts. That's the most common one that we know about. And I tell people the trust, think of it like safety box entity that you are creating that you hold a key to. When you die, this key goes to your trustee for them to administer, not the court, right? Again, so now we're out of court, out of probate court, for the trustee to administer according to your wishes. And so there's different types of trust. The one you're referring to, the revocable living trust, that one, revocable meaning you have the key, you are in control. The transfer of assets is done in your lifetime so that there's no need to go to probate court, right? That's the whole goal. The transfer of assets is done, but the assets still remain yours because they are in your control, you as the initial trustee. Why people need it and what it is, hopefully that gives you a good bird's eye view.
Great. Let's just say I just bought a property and I've been told by my realtor I need to protect myself with a living trust. So then my realtor recommended me to you, Evette. My realtor, who I love and did such a great job for me, her name's Rosita. She referred me to you, stating that you are the Wonder Woman of estate planning. And where do I even start? What do you need from me?
Yeah. So usually a lot of people, even, people in your level of expertise, they know, but they don't really know. And so I'm really grateful that you take it a step further to really empower your clients with knowledge. And then here's what you need to do to protect yourself. So first off, thank you for going the extra mile because not everybody does. So the first step is, okay, I have this asset. The first step is for them to understand why they need a trust. Why is wise to establish one? And so the first step is sitting down and with somebody like me and realizing, okay, what are my goals, right? Is this an investment property? Is this a property? This is my forever home? Is it just something that I want to, flip? There's different reasons, obviously, why people buy different properties. For your average client, it's going to be their family home. And so protecting it is crucial. And when we talk about protecting it, we're talking about probate court primarily, right? Meaning in probate court, just to give you a quick statistic, right? We know that most people that end up in probate court, they're looking by, again, because the legislature sets it out, 3 to 8% of the estate value in fees and attorney costs by the time probate is wrapped up. What does that mean? Just to give you perspective, if you find, first of all, a $500,000 home in San Diego, but let's say you do, right? We're in San Diego. Let me know, first of all. Second of all, right? That 3 to 8% of that can be astronomical for a family. That, that for that family, that is their asset. All right, we're talking 14,000 plus, right? That's a lot of money for them to have to pay to have this asset transferred into the right hands if something were to happen. But I want to be clear, a revocable living trust does not give you asset protection. And so that's what I mean when I sit down with people and I say, okay, what is the goal here, right? What are we trying to do? Sure, there's homestead exemption in California that gives us a little bit, but if they are business owners, if this is a rental property, if this is something, or they have a business, or let's say they're lawyers or doctors or nurses or law enforcement, right? Now there's different reasons for them to want some sort of asset protection. So we may be out of the revocable living trust and into some different type of trust and or business formation, LLCs, corporation, things like that. So again, there's no cookie cutter way to answer that, but I want to just clear that up because a lot of people think, oh, it's in a trust. If I get sued, I'm safe. Not necessarily, right? It can be a deterrent. It could be one step further that, somebody suing you would have to overcome, but it in itself is not, but it will keep you out of probate court if done properly and then updated. That's the goal.
My dad had a living trust and he chose me to be his executor. So after he passed, we went through to an estate planning attorney and had it executed. And I've had a client who was a probate client. I mean, he didn't have anything in place. His wife died suddenly. So I've seen both sides. And the probate that you talk about, the 14K, that's just for the fees for probate. That does not include real estate fees as well, right?
No, yeah, that's just the court set fees for executing a probate, administering a probate case on a $500,000 estate.
Yeah, which is not found, by the way, in San Diego.
But you're gonna let me know, right?
I will let you know. If it's by the beach, I will not let you know. But the other thing is with the living trust that my dad had, it was so smooth. And I was able to fall back and let the attorney handle it because I have a huge family. So that would have caused a lot of problems. Yeah. So having the attorney, I use the word execute, but you used another word. But did you say that it does not protect the property? If it's just a homeowner that wants to pass their home on to their children?
So it doesn't give asset protection in the context of I'm faced with $1 million judgment because I got sued for malpractice or something like that, and now they want to come after my assets, right? That in itself does not. It could be a deterrent, but it is not. It does protect it like I said, from the probate court, and you can pass on, by a step up in basis, you can pass on and prevent your heirs or whoever gets your property from having to pay capital gains taxes. So there's tax advantages to it too. And now when we get into, the multi-generational family planning, but $14,000, that's a lot for an average family nowadays.
Oh yeah, that's a lot for anybody. And that's not including real estate fees if you decide to sell it. That
Right.
also does not include if there's still a mortgage on the property.
Correct.
There's so many details. There's so many moving parts
Yeah.
in this. But like Evette said, best option is
Best.
living trust.
Yeah.
And then to me, the worst option would be probate. That shouldn't even be an option.
No, correct. It really shouldn't, for people to not have a will, especially, there's people that don't own a home. A lot of people don't own a home, but they may have, so they're like, I don't need a trust. Okay, but you may have children, right? You may have beneficiaries, you may have other things that you would want to consider to not have the court decide. And so for that reason, it's not just if you own a home, you can have other assets as well that you can structure properly. Many times we see trusts for the children within your trust. So ultimately they inherit in trust. And now we get into, the trust fund babies, quote unquote. Yeah, a lot of people, they just don't know what their options are. So back to your initial question, it's what are the goals? And then let me get informed on what are my options to meet those goals.
Can you name a couple of misconceptions that people have?
Yeah, I just covered one, which is, everybody needs to have an estate plan, right? It's not just for the wealthy. It's not just for people with high assets. No. So when you're planning an estate, it's for your disability or death, right? And so we're thinking both things. If I get COVID or long-term COVID or an accident or something, and that kind of planning needs to happen so my family doesn't have to go get a conservatorship over me, or worse, it's also for death. So everybody should have that. A big misconception is, oh, I'll just go down the street because Sally's charging $199, right? And it's like, I tell people, you'll find it anywhere, including Google, the DIY, right? But people need to be aware that your family is not the same as the neighbor next door. So you really need to sit down and walk with an expert, say, what are some of those red flags that you might not even know of to protect yourself? Again, there's a lot more than just pulling a form off the internet, right? I tell people I know how to change my oil in my car. I won't do it because I can create a bigger mess, right? That's why we do this. Go to an expert. And then the third misconception that we get a lot is flat out, oh, it's just too expensive, right? It is an investment. I'm not going to lie, right? It is an investment. It's nowhere near $14,000 that your family would have to pay in probate. It is an investment. Just like car insurance, just like many of us have life insurance, homeowners insurance. That is an investment in your life, in your family. That's another misconception, is unaffordable. I can't speak for all estate planning attorneys, but I know, at least for myself, I try to my best so that that's not a reason. So I work with my clients on payment plans, whatever we need to do, so that that's not a hindrance.
That's a huge blessing, especially in today's industry, because most people just want to make money, and just forget about client, So I just really acknowledge that in you, that you do your best, because the important thing is to be able to protect the assets, and you're willing to provide your expertise and work with your clients. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And the other thing is, yes, a living trust is expensive, but like Evette said, so is the 14,000 plus you will have to pay to take care of this property that your parents have left you.
Yeah.
or generationally left you, right?
No.
So, I mean, you could
Capital
pay it
gains.
yeah, and then capital gains. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
So, I mean, you can either pay at the beginning and you have the opportunity to maintain it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You can make changes, and I'm sure Yvette's going to get into that in a couple of minutes here, but you have the opportunity to have control of it. Whereas when you pass away and you have to do probate, nobody has control. It's a
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah. I mean, that's what separates this kind of law from other areas, right? Like other areas of law, there is an appeal, there is appellate court, there is a second try sometimes, Not with this. We know death is final, and many times disability is also final. And so, one of my least favorite cases is when we're having to rush against the time clock because people have waited and now we're literally in the hospital, doing the notary signings on the deathbed. Those are excruciatingly painful for the family to do. It's no fun for anybody, trying to rush. Getting into what you were saying, can we change it? So the revocable one, absolutely. And with my clients, I send them at the beginning of the year, I send them a schedule for them to update on all their assets so that we're both aware and we can track how's their estate growth. In 2026, the tax exemptions between married couples is going to go down from about 12 million to, we're thinking, probably 6 million is what it's looking like. So for those that have any kind of asset in San Diego, they may be very quickly there. And so that's very important, to keep it updated and have your estate plan reflect current and changing laws.
If your spouse passes away and you're remarried, for example, then and you don't update your living trust, that's going to be a painful thing. And I know that a lot of people don't even want to deal with it. They don't want to face the fact that, I'm not going to live forever. I don't know how you talk to your clients about this, but I always tell my real estate clients, it is so important because you're leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
Whatever that legacy is, if it's a small house or $10 million home, you are leaving a legacy. So you want to make sure that your wishes will be taken care of. I took that super serious when my dad made me executor.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for the executor or whoever has to take that position of executing. I keep using that word.
It's trustee, but it's administering. So same thing, executing.
Yeah, but it makes it so much easier because there's nothing to argue about.
Right. Exactly. And, we can get very technical within the planning too, is if we know somebody might be a problem or somebody might contest or things like that, we can try to do some preventative stuff and put that kind of thing in there where there's, no conflict clauses, or sometimes disinheriting, prohibiting certain people from becoming executors, right? Like I work a lot with victims, right? And so some don't want the other parent. It's just not fit to be a guardian of the minor's estate, right? It's very important to explain why in an amendment to a will or something that, there's been abuse or there's been some fraud or there's been financial abuse, because otherwise the judge won't know that, right? And again, legislature decides. So if legislature is deciding the kids should go to the other parent, the kids should have the other parent manage the assets that are left behind, it could be a real disaster. And I've seen it many, many times. So super helpful to avoid family conflicts.
Yeah. So essentially, that the living trust is it's like a voice of that person saying, this is what I want, and everything is set.
Yeah, it's like a voice with bumper rails, I call it.
That's good.
With rules, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you an example, like if we're setting up trust for grandkids within it or trust for the kids within it, they have the ability to set boundaries, right? on the condition that XYZ, right? On the condition that don't fall into substance abuse or mental health, or you have to go to college, you have to have certain amount saved, you only get it in these stages, you have to graduate, college or a master's or whatever that's important to that person. It's
Right.
like give that peace of mind, that extra peace of mind that my 18-year-old's not just going to inherit everything and go buy a Lamborghini. There are certain parameters that will protect them often from themselves.
So I love how you put the specifics in there, or work with the client to put the specifics in there. Nope, you got to have a master's, you got to XYZ. I love that.
Yeah,
And it holds everybody accountable.
right.
That's so we are coming at the end. I'm learning so much, and I'm definitely going to be sending everybody to you.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how people can reach out to you,
Yeah,
contact you?
yeah. I put our phone number in my nameplate, but it's 619-535-0066. They can call or text it, and we'll send them an appointment calendar where they can have a chat with me. I'm on also social media, Instagram and Facebook at Kingdom Shiro Lawyer in Heels, or as you mentioned, my website. And so that's kuyatelawgroup.com.
Oh, I love that. Kingdom Shiro Lawyer in Heels.
That's
I
right.
love that. Now you have other events coming up.
I do. So I have master classes on wealth preservation. So on March 7th, this will be for women only. So this will be targeted for wealth preservation for women because we have our own specific sets of needs and things to think about as we are preserving and growing our wealth. So in celebration of International Women's Day, which is on the 8th, we will be doing that on the 7th.
That's amazing. Okay, I will have that in the information on the bottom here so you guys can find all her information.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you, Evette, again for gracing us with your Wonder Womanness and all the information that you provided. It was clear, especially when you don't know what you don't know, but you know you have to get it done. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. So thank you for making it very clear and very simple for most homeowners to understand.
Good. Thank you. I try my best to make this a non-stressful situation for people, right? And there's so much, but I walk them through phases. First one is the discovery. What do we need? What do we have? What are our goals? What are we doing? Then we get into planning. Then we get into the establishing it, notarizing it. And then we do the whole funding of it and then the maintenance. So it's not all at once. It is definitely relationship. And I do a lot of hand holding because some people need it. So I'm happy to be that person.
Well, it's a big decision. I do a lot of hand holding in my business too, just
Yeah,
because it's a huge investment.
it is. Yeah.
And you're not just thinking about today, it's like for generations. So I love that you do that. So when you have questions regarding real estate, please contact me at 619-665-9086. My website is rositasellshomestoday.com. My email is rositasellshomes@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.